にちは。JRP テレビインターナショナルのアデイトです。インターナショナルプレミアムの番組。そしていつもの素晴らしい世界平和委員会総裁チョドイン大閣 Space Shuttle. So, 総裁チョドイン大閣 is a very wise person, very wise, like an old samurai of Japan. And the image of space shuttle is that he is observing our world from outer space, and it's like a universal consciousness, and so he's watching us from above, and he has advices for the people of the world. And today we are going to discuss the situation in Ukraine with the war. So please go ahead.
世界の人々は今のウクライナ紛争について、メディアの一方的な説明だけを聞いて、ウラジミール・プーチンが悪魔のようなサタンだとこう言っている。この問題について今日はお話しします。
So today he would like to explain us about this situation that from the media, from the general media, we receive a very one-sided way of watching Putin, and everybody thinks of him like a devil, Satan, like really the worst person in the world. And this is because the media is only showing us one side, and Sosai Chodoin Daikaku would like to let us know the deeper angle of this situation.
私とウラジミール・プーチンさんとの関係は、武道を通じた関係があります。武道。
And the relation that is in between Sosai Chodoin Daikaku Space Shuttle and Vladimir Putin is the world of martial arts. Like we know Vladimir Putin loves martial arts, and so does Sosai Chodoin Daikaku.
12年前にも私はプーチンと会うためにモスクワへ行きました。
And 12 years ago, in order to meet with Vladimir Putin, Sosai Chodoin Daikaku went to Moscow.
その時は極真空手の世界大会があった時です。
And at that time, there was a world championship of Kyokushin karate type, that type of karate. It was a world championship, and that's why he went.
極真館の牢山初夫、さんと牢山初夫さんが極真空手のその大会の会長だったわけです。
And so the top organizer of that karate was Mr. Koyama.
牢山。それで、プーチンがその代表としてロシア政府から来て私と並んで座る予定があったわけ。
And so Putin, as a delegate from the leadership of Russia, came to that championship, to that karate championship, and sat on the same row with Sosai Chodoin Daikaku.
その時にたまたまリーマンブラザーが倒産したわけです。
And it was at that time, if you remember, Lehman Brothers, when they went bankrupt and the world economy crashed because of the Lehman crash. It was at that time.
リーマンブラザーが倒産した後のリーマンショックでロシア経済は混乱したとしてました。
And even the economy of Russia was in big disarray because of this Lehman shock.
そのプーチンが来ない代わりにプーチンの KBD 時代の武道の仲間で代理で来るという人が来たわけです。
From the KGB. So, and at that time, other representatives from KGB came this karate world championship because they are also interested in respecting martial arts.
その代理で来た人が近くに来た時に、私もその代理の人も驚いたわけです。
And so when they were so close to each other, they were so surprised.
その人はセルゲイというゴージュ流の別の流派の、ロシアの代表の空手マン、バタリアンの友達のセルゲイがプーチンの代理で来たからびっくりしたわけ。
And so next, there with Putin, there was another Russian gentleman called Sergei, and he is the top of Goju-ryu karate type in Russia, and he knew Sosai Chodo in Daikaku, so they were so surprised to see each other at that meeting.
私がモスクワへ行くときはいつもその人が車を出して空港まで迎えに来てくれてた親友なんです。
So it was really best friend level that Sergei gentleman always, when Sosai Chodo in Daikaku would go to Moscow, he would pick him up by car and take him around by car, so like really best friends and caring for each other.
まあその日は極真の堂山さんはもう別にプーチンの代理の私の親友が一日中私たちの、世話をしてくれて大歓迎してくれました。
And so an entire day they would spend together and show him around, and so this was in the same team with Vladimir Putin at that time.
その大歓迎してくれたのは、まあ、もちろん私の親友のセルゲイがしたんだけども、それらの指示をしたのはプーチンが接待しろ、歓迎しろと私に対して言ったメッセージなんです。
And so this was because Vladimir Putin himself requested that Sosai Chodo in Daikaku receive this service, this amazingly nice treatment, and being taken care of in Russia, in Moscow.
その時にセルゲイが私にプーチンは柔道をものすごく愛していると、KGB 時代で柔道でやっぱり KGB の100万人おるわけ。 KGB は100万人をにらみ怪我して指導力を発揮していると。もちろん東ドイツ時代からもそうだというプーチンについての説明をセルゲイから聞きました。
And at that time, from this Sergei, this gentleman called Sergei, was explaining to Sosai Chodo in Daikaku that Putin loves very much judo, and in the most of the members of KGB, more than 100,000 people were being trained, and so this love for the Japanese martial arts was spread among these KGB agents and Putin himself.
だからプーチンの人間性は武道精神という武士道、彼は日本人の侍精神を超えるロシアの侍であるということを聞かされた。
And so, because of this respect and this understanding for martial arts, Sosai Chodo Daikaku understood that Putin's character is very much same like the true Japanese samurais, that he has that discipline and it's on the same wave with the Japanese samurai. He is like the Russia's greatest samurai, Vladimir Putin.
その中にですね、プーチンはゴルバチョフのいわゆる CIA、 アメリカのジョージ・ブッシュのね前のいわゆるレーガン、 レーガンのいわゆるカウント何はゴルバチョフ、ゴルバチョフのソ連の中でペレストロイカ、新しい自由な思想ですね。これに対してプーチンは反対してたわけ。
And so,
ゴルバチョフのやった。
in that time, if we remember back in history, while in United States, Reagan was the president of the United States, and he requested Gorbachev to open this Russia to the democracy and to stop being a socialist state. And so Gorbachev accepted, and he implemented this perestroika. And Putin didn't like that Russia took that path pushed by United States and the CIA, and that Gorbachev was like part of the CIA.
CIA の狙いは、アメリカの戦略は、ソ連をバラバラに分けることです。
Because CIA's wish was to break apart this huge country that was the socialist big Russia. For United States, for CIA, they would prefer to have it split in smaller countries and to lose power and to diminish their value in the world.
これは CIA の狙いと同時に、いわゆるソ連の当時、ソ連の中にいろんなガス、オイル、ダイヤモンド、エメラルド、アレキサンダー・ライト、デマントイド、すべての宝石、ガス、資源、これはお金と一緒なんです。ゴールドなんです。もちろんゴールドもあるわけ。それをアシュケナ・ジュリシュは狙ってたわけです。アシュケナ・ジュリシュイコールニューコート。ニューコートの戦略はロシアをバラバラにしてダイヤモンド、ゴールド、オイル、ガス、この資源を取り上げることなんです。
And so these Ashkenazi Jews who are strong, were at that time strong in this world leadership, their goal was to destroy the Soviet Russia, to break it apart in order to be able to harvest not only oil and gas, like the richness of the country, but also rare metals, diamonds, gold. So that was the target for these Ashkenazi Jews.
その作戦がゴルバチョフが協力して、そしてゴルバチョフはノーベルピース、ノーベル賞をもらったわけ。
And so Gorbachev, influenced by United States CIA and these Ashkenazi Jews, he implemented perestroika and broke apart the Soviet Russia, and he received the Nobel Peace Prize for that action.
その時のゴルバチョフを助けたユダヤ、ジュの人たち、この人たちはイスラエルのパスポートとロシアのソ連のパスポートと両方持ってる人たち。イスラエルのパスポートだからイスラエルといわゆるアメリカ合衆国 CIA と、そしてロンドンの MI6 とイスラエルのモサドと全部こうグループを作ってゴルバチョフをおだてたわけ。
And so at that time, the people who succeeded to move Gorbachev to implement this perestroika were people who had double citizenship, Russian citizenship, but also Jewish citizenship. And they, together with MI6 in England, with that secret agency, and with the Mossad of Israel, created this strong group, and of course United States, CIA. So these three, the Mossad, the CIA, and MI6, gathered to change the political way of Russia, and they used Gorbachev in order to destroy the country.
だからそのいわゆるロシアのパスポートを持ったユの人たち、そしてイスラエルのパスポートも両方持ってる人たちと CIA のエージェントになってるロシアの人たちがいつもモスクワで打ち合わせをするわけ。そしてソ連をバンクロットになってソ連がなくなった時、その国営会社、ソ連時代の国の会社、全部プライベートカンパニーに移す計画をしてた。
And so this people who had double citizenship, Russian and British, or Russian Israel, Russian United States, they created this group, and when Gorbachev succeeded to destroy this unity, the Soviet Russia, they were ready to harvest all these companies, the big companies that belonged to the motherland, that belonged to the Soviet Russia, because a socialist state, all companies belong to the government, so gas and electricity, everything just belongs to the government. But now, with this perestroika, all these companies had to become private. They needed an owner, and so these half Jewish people were ready there in order to harvest all the great companies and become owners, private owners.
そして1989年にはそのレーガンが考えていたいわゆるロシア崩壊が始まった。
And then in 1989, this plan that Reagan decided, it was they started it in that year to get Russia to be destroyed. And
その歴史上のソビエトユニオンが崩れる前にワルシャワ条約機構、これは外側のロシア側の陣営の国の連帯グループ、ワルシャワ条約機構、これがポーランド、チェコスロバキア、ハンガリー、ルーマニア、ブルガリア、これワルシャワ条約に入っているわけ。1989年の6月にはポーランドがデモクラシーの悪さという、悪さ、悪いことをする悪さと、そして、チェコ、そして、スロバキア、昔はチェコスロバキアは一つの国だ。チェコスロバキア、そしてハンガリー、それで今のルーマニア、ブルガリアと東ドイツ、これが全部レボリューション、民主的なデモクラシーになっちゃう。
And so, as a result, after this situation happened in Russia, the countries that were united with the Warsaw Pact, which would be Poland, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, East Germany, each one by one they started to have this revolution and to become democratic countries. So all these countries that were socialist style, so not only that Russia was dismembered, but also these other countries with the Warsaw Pact that were united by the Warsaw Pact, started one by one to have their own revolution and to become.
それから今度はエストニア、ラトビア、リトアニアとバルト三国も民主的になっちゃう。
And then the Baltic countries, Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia, also had their revolutions
independent
to become independent from Russia.
それからベラルーシ、ウクライナ、モルドバ、そして今のジョージア、このチェチェン、グルジア、アルメニア、アゼルバイジャン、全部インディペンデント。
And so all the other republics, Georgia, Azerbaijan, and Moldova, Belarus, all these other countries also became independent and away from the mother Russia.
すべての今のカザフスタンから、ウズベキスタン、ね、それから今のキルギス、それからモンゴリア、みんなインディペンデント。
Mongolia, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan,
全部アゼルバイジャン。
Azerbaijan also became independent.
これがソ連崩壊なんです。
And that was a huge loss for the unity that Russia used to be, and Russia used to control all these countries. So it was a very big effect.
そしてプーチン大統領はその時はイーストジャーマニーにおったわけです。KGB のトップで。
And at that time, Vladimir Putin was working for the KGB. He was the top of KGB, and he was situated in East Germany.
プーチンはもちろん民主化したイーストジャーマニーからサンペトルブルクへ移ってシティのサンペトのシティのメイヤー市長の補佐官になってた。
And so once East Germany became independent from Russia, of course he had to move, and he moved to St. Petersburg and became like the mayor of St. Petersburg.
そしてその時にヘンリー・キッシンジャー、これはもうアメリカにおけるいわゆるアシュケナユダヤのナンバーワンのボスだったヘンリー・キッシンジャー。
And at that time in United States, Henry Kissinger, who is the number one Ashkenazi Jew, was in the party, in the leadership in United States.
その銃のヘンリー・キッシンジャーがサンペトルブルクに来たわけ。
He came to St. Petersburg at that time.
それでメイヤーがプーチンにエアポートまで迎えに行けと言ったわけ。メイヤー、市長。メイヤーが。
市長はプーチンじゃなくて、
市長は別の人。
And so, before I made a mistake when I said that Putin became the mayor of Petersburg, he was working right under the mayor of St. Petersburg, and this mayor of St. Petersburg requested Putin to go to the airport and pick up Henry Kissinger.
バイスメイヤーだね。
Like a vice mayor.
で、エアポートでヘンリー・キッシンジャーを車へ案内して、で、車でホテルへ行くまでの間、プーチンと初めてヘンリー・キッシンジャーは仲良く話し始めた。
And so when Putin picked up Henry Kissinger at the airport and on the way to the hotel, it was the first time that they met and they were able to speak with each other and understand how they are.
このロシア崩壊のセナリオを書いたのはヘンリー・キッシンジャーです。だからどういう ふうにゴルバチョフを騙したか、ノーベル賞で釣り上げた、ノーベル賞をその餌に食べたわけ、ゴルバチョフは。それで喜んで、ね、自分は英雄だと思ってる間に全部ソ連は取られちゃったわけ。ワルシャワ条約国も全部インダペンデント。ソ連の国々は全部インダペンデント。それはプーチンはものすごい腹が立ってたわけです、ゴルバチョフに対して。それを計画したヘンリー・キッシンジャーから詳しく聞いた。
And so while they were driving, while Putin was driving Henry Kissinger from the airport, Henry Kissinger explained to Putin in detail how it was his idea to have the Soviet Russia destroyed and broken apart in the smaller countries and also the Warsaw Pact countries, and to destabilize the area. And the way that he did it is to offer to Gorbachev the idea that he will get the Nobel Peace Prize if he does it. So Putin was able to listen directly from Henry Kissinger that Gorbachev was actually convinced that he will get the Nobel Peace Prize and respected in the entire world if he's going to break apart and to stop socialist and communist Russia. And so the entire this wave of destruction that happened was because of this Henry Kissinger, who is the top Ashkenazi Jew.
でいかにゴルバチョフは世界の全体の裏と表を知らなかったかということをプーチンは初めてゴルバチョフの失敗の原因が分かった。
And it was at that time that Putin understood what was the reason of this big failure, this big mistake that Gorbachev made at that time with the perestroika.
だからプーチンはその後市長にもなり、そしてエリティンがロシアの大統領になったとき、エリティンの側近に入ったわけ。
And so Putin, having this deep knowledge and of course the top of KGB, he kept being in the higher ranks of the party in Russia. And when Yeltsin became the leader of Russia, Putin was just under him, like a vice president.
それでバイスプレジデントの首相やね、首相になったね、プライムミニスター。
Like Prime Minister, the Prime Minister of Russia.
それでその時はレーガンがもう辞めて、ジョージ・ブッシュパパブッシュになってた。
And so at that time in United States it was George Bush the first who was the leader of the country, and in Russia Boris Yeltsin, and Putin was prime minister.
その時にはウクライナには核があったわけ。ニュークリアワポンがまだロシアの時代のままあったウクライナに。
And so at that time in Ukraine, there were still nuclear weapons that were constructed in the communist Soviet time. So they were still owning and having those weapons in Ukraine.
それブルガリアで、ブダペスト会議が行われた。
And then there was in the conference in Budapest in Hungary.
それからウクライナには核は置かないと。ウクライナの核は全部ロシアへ移すという形で合意された。
And so at that time it was decided that Ukraine should not have those nuclear weapons and they should be sent back to Russia.
そして、ジョージ・ブッシュパパは一切元の ワルシャワ条約機構のボーダーに1ミリも侵入しないと、拡張しないという、NATO は拡しない、1ミリも入らないと、こういう約束が交わされた。
アメリカ
ゴルバチョフとジョージ・ブッシュとの間。
ロシアはそのワルシャワ国に入らない。
もう軍隊は基地を、軍事基地を持たないと。旧ソ連の中に入らないと。
And so at that time, with George Bush the first, the father, they signed a contract that Russia should never have any soldiers, any army, anything to do anymore with the countries that were part of the Warsaw Pact.
そしてジョージパパブッシュからクリントンに変わった。ビル・クリントン。
And so after George Bush the father, Bill Clinton became the president of United States.
それがクリントンからすぐにもう全部 NATO に入っていったわけです。
And so in
ポー
Clinton's
ラン
time,
ドからチェコからスロバキアから
all this, the countries that were part of the Warsaw Pact entered NATO, Czechia, then Slovakia, Poland, Romania, all were led to join NATO.
そしてエストニア、ラトビア、リトアニアみんな NATO に入ったんです。
So
それは息子のクリントンの後のジョージ・ブッシュ息子、バカブッシュの時にもう入ったわけ。
and then in the time of the second George Bush, the stupid one, at that time even Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania entered in this NATO.
で最後はジョージアもこれも入れようとしたからプーチンはジョージアに軍隊を派遣した。
And then Georgia also was attempting to get into NATO, and that's why at that time Putin did an attack to Georgia to stop them.
それから今のジョージアはプーチンが取り返して、アルメニアにおいてもそういう問題が起こったわけ。アルメニアにおいて。そして今回はウクライナを2014年この時に CIA のブレナン長官と、そして今のバイデン副大統領、オバマのマケイン上院議員3人がキエフに入って、そしてヤヌコビッチ大統領、プーチンの弟みたいなヤヌコビッチで親ロシアの大統領に、これを暴力団を雇って、暴力団イコールネオナチの名前じゃなく、傭兵会社を CIA、アカデミアは傭兵会社のお金を受け取ると。アカデミアが作ったのがアゾフ連隊という今ウクライナの大統領になっているゼレンスキーユダヤ人軍団なんですよ。
ちょっと待って。And it was a very long explanation. So at that time, Ukraine was the Yeltsin, Ukraine's leader was Yankovic. Mr. Yankovic was the leader of Ukraine at that time, and John McCain from United States, created this plan, and together with other
Biden, Brennan, CIA
and Mr. Brennan of CIA and McCain created this plan to get Ukraine on the side of NATO and United States, and so they had to topple the leader of Ukraine, who was actually in very good relationship with Russia, with Vladimir Putin, and so
だからそれらを全部アメリカの CIA が雇った、お金を払って雇われてヤヌコビッチを殺す、この仕事を請け負ったアカデミアが作ったアゾフ連隊。
Azov.
Azov.
And so the United States created, in United States there is this contractor company Academia, and so they hired mercenaries and people, and if you remember in 2014 there was big demonstration in Ukraine, as if the Ukrainian people are not happy with Yankovic, the leader of the Ukraine at the time, because he was in good relation with Putin and Russia. And so this Academia contractor company with McCain and George Bush at that time, they created AZOV, this group which is called AZOV. It's the name, a Russian name, like the Azov Sea, who are like the neo-Nazis. So they groomed and had gathered those mercenaries, Russian mercenaries, to create this battalion called AZOV.
このだからアゾフが誰によってウクライナでアクティビティ、このポリティカル行動ができたかというとバイデンなんですよ。バイデンの作ったアゾフ、バイデンが親、子供がアゾフ、そしてバイデンの子供のハンター・バイデンがリーダーみたいなものね。これについてプーチンは怒ってるわけ。
And so Joe Biden at that time helped in creating this Azov, this battalion Azov, and you also know that Hunter Biden was employed at that time in Ukraine. He was director in a company and he received a lot of money. And so it is because of this that this Azov battalion was created, and Putin is very angry, and that's his reason.
というのは歴史的にキエフはロシア人にとっても古い昔の都なんです。
そうですね。
ね。だから古い昔の都をロシア人たちは共通の感覚、意識がある。日本人で言えば古い都、奈良、京都。奈良、京都、いわゆるアゾフに全部乗っ取られて、そしてアゾフが日本中を管理していると、ユダヤ人が。そうすると古い日本人は、なんだ、こいつらはけしからんと思うでしょ。それと一緒ですよ。
And so Kiev, the city of Kiev, was from long time ago very important to Russia. It was part of Russia. It's, if you compare with Japan, it's like Kyoto or Nara for Japan. So of course, even for example, as a Japanese person, you would feel very angry if this treasured city like Nara and Kyoto would be split away and would work against you, and this Azov battalion controls everybody in Ukraine, and backed up by these Ashkenazi Jews.
まあそういう外のプーチンにとってはですね、なぜその自分たちの同じ民族の大統領ヤヌコビッチがアシュケナユダヤ人に追い出されて、それを追い出したのはアメリカのスポンサーがあったから追い出したんだけど、それをこの取り返すために今いろんなで、その銃はロシア人をいじめたわけ。 でロシア人はクリミアに全部住んでるわけ。ドネツク、ルガンスク、ハリコフはユダヤ人が住んでる、ロシア人が住んでる。それを全部いじめて、ロシア語を使うなとか、そういう圧力をかけたから。そしてジェノサイドは実質殺されてるわけ。アゾフの人たち、アゾフ連隊に、ロシア人が。プーチン守らなきゃいけないロシア人。そういう意味で、本来は国境なかったんだから、国境は。ソ連だから。
So, this Jewish-sponsored Azov battalion targeted the Russian people who were living in Crimea and Donetsk, Lugansk areas. So those areas, they are closest to Russia, and so the people there spoke Russian more than Ukrainian language, and this neo-Nazi Azov battalion was targeting them and forcing them to stop using Russian and to brainwash them and whitewash them into becoming Ukrainian and cutting any relations to Russia. So, of course, Putin very much hates this situation that his country was destroyed by United States and sponsored by these Ashkenazi Jews.
そこで8年前の2014年、ちょうどプーチンはソチオリンピックをやっていました。ソチオリンピック。そしてアシュケナユダヤの人たちはそのオリンピックを狙ったわけ。プーチンはテロ対策で何十万人の KGB もその当時は FSB になってたけど、FSB もポリスも軍隊もソチオリンピックでガードしてた。その間にキエフでジョー・バイデン、マケイン、ブレナンがクーデターだと称してアゾフの人間を大統領追い出しに出た。そしてソチオリンピック終わってプーチンは頭にきたからクリミアを独立させちゃった。それが経済制裁として続いているわけ。
So in 2014, when Russia was hosting the Sochi Olympics, the Olympic Games in Sochi, Putin was of course very busy to protect that city. Of course they want to have a perfect Olympics without any terror attacks and anything bad happening. So all the KGB, now it's called FSB, tens of thousands of such agents and police and military were protecting Sochi. So the Olympics went peaceful and he had no problem there. But exactly at that timing, in Ukraine, what's his name? Yankovic. At that time, they had in Ukraine, sponsored by the Ashkenazi Jews and this academia private company, instigated demonstrations to topple the leader of Ukraine, and this Azov battalion, this new neo-Nazi Azov battalion, acted as if they are Ukrainian people who do not want anymore Yankovic to be president, but actually they were paid by United States and by the Jews to create that demonstration, to chase him, and so he had to flee, he had to run away. And Putin was very angry that this situation happened, and so to retaliate, he entered and took Crimea. Actually, there were elections in Crimea, so the Crimean people chose to
だからプーチンは武士道です。武士道では敵討ちといってやられたらやり返すという。親が殺されたら子供は相手を敵をエナミとして殺さなきゃいけない。これ武士の認められた 殺人なんです。殺人が褒められるわけ。親が殺されたその仇を取る。でプーチンの親はヤヌコビッチが殺されかけてロシアに逃げてきた。その仇は取らなきゃいけないと。この仇を相手はアゾフ連隊だ。今はゼレンスキーだと。でゼレンスキーは全部ユダヤ系のビジネスマンたちと連携していると。それでロシアでもロシアの全財産である宝をガスとかダイヤモンドとかゴールドとか、これオリガルヒというユダヤ人グループ、この人たちはロシア人でありウクライナ人でもあるけれども、イスラエルと一緒なんだよ。パスポート持ってる。イスラエルのパスポート。イスラエルのパスポートを持っているロシア人、これはオリガルヒ、ね、オリガルヒというビジネス、ロシアの政府のあれを全部彼らは取っちゃった。そういういろんな問題があって、オリガルヒとの、プーチン大統領との喧嘩もある。そのオリガルヒの人たちは同じユダヤ人だから、ゼレンスキーが、ね、これをやっぱりそんなに対してロシアから全部かなり殺されてます、今オリガルヒの連中はプーチンに。
And so those half Russian, half Jewish, like they also have the Jewish passport. The people that nowadays we call oligarchs, who are very rich in Russia, which is because they were the ones part to topple the communist Soviet Russia, and they took all those big companies that belonged to the state, the government. So they became very rich and are these oligarchs, and Vladimir Zelensky is also Jewish, as we know, and so Sosai Chodoin Daikaku is saying that Vladimir Putin has this samurai spirit in the sense that even the Japanese samurai, if somebody should kill your parent, then you have to kill something of theirs. It's a matter of honor to protect of your family, to protect your tribe, and that's why Putin has this duty, like the Japanese Bushido, like a samurai, to protect Russia and to revenge for everything that was taken away from them, and that is the main motivation for what Putin is doing nowadays, and to fight against this AZOV battalion, which are basically Jewish, and we see now in the news that oligarchs are being found dead in their apartments. It happened in London, I think, and somewhere else with the entire family. So it's just like the Japanese samurai, it's a duty that Putin is feeling to protect and to pay back such bad deeds that were done to his country.
だから今までの理由でね、日本人がやはりこの問題をよく調べて、オリガルヒという存在の、それからアゾフ連隊の存在の理由、そしてウクライナという一つのスラブ民族の共通性、宗教も一緒、これらがこう絡んで今起こっている問題、これはウクライナとプーチン大統領の対立じゃなく、プーチン大統領といわゆるアゾフ連隊の対立と、アゾフ連隊の裏 を応援している人たちはアメリカの CIA であり、英国の MI6 であり、イスラエルのモサドである。
And so this battle that is happening right now in Ukraine is not Vladimir Putin against Ukraine or the Ukrainian people, but Vladimir Putin is fighting this AZOV battalion who are sponsored by the CIA, by MI6, by Mossad, and who are part of this very strong Jewish Ashkenazi Jews who are controlling the world.
そういうことです。
And so this is the reason for what is happening now in Ukraine. And so Saicho Doin Daikaku wanted you to, and wanted the Japanese people to know more the deep history of what happened before what's going on nowadays, and to have a deeper understanding.
このアデイトさんは実際は反プーチンです。彼女はいわゆるウクライナのゼレンスキーを応援している人です。で、私はプーチンを応援している。この方はゼレンスキー、オルデミロ・ゼレンスキーを応援している。私はウラジミル・プーチンを応援している。今日はただ通訳、トランスレーターとして喋っていただいただけですから、誤解しないように。
So Saicho Daikaku was explaining in Japanese that he understands the situation of Putin, and that's why he is supporting this martial arts spirit and the Bushido of Putin. However, me, Adeito, I'm just translating right now, so it doesn't mean that I personally am supporting Putin. And so he just wanted to make clear the situation that I'm on the side of Mr. Zelensky. So we thank you for watching and see you next time.